Adeline Yan Ma, a Chinese-American author and physician, wrote the book Chinese Cinderella to share with the world her painful roots. She was born in Tianjin, Republic of China, on November 30th, 1937, to a family of 9, including herself. Later on, however, her mother passed away as a result of her birth, leading her father to remarry and have 2 more children. Adeline Yan Ma endured a horrific childhood of loneliness and abuse from almost everyone around her, but mainly her stepmother, Niang. Despite the mistreatment, Adeline Yan Ma perpetually won first in her class for academics since she began school. Her talent for writing won her many awards and ultimately paved the way to her dream to attend college at University College in London. By writing for a competition during her high school years, which she won first place in, Adeline was able to receive much needed attention from her father, as well as his permission for her to fulfill her dream of furthering her education.
In her late 50s, Adeline Yan Ma felt compelled to write Chinese Cinderella in order to reach out to all other people in the world struggling with the feeling of being unwanted. She was determined to spread her message, saying that if one truly believes in themselves and tries hard enough, it is possible to prove your own worth. In the preface of the book, Adeline Yan Ma states, "For those who were neglected and unloved as a child, I have a particular message. In spite of what your abusers would have you believe, please be convinced that each of you has within you something precious and unique. Chinese Cinderella is dedicated to you with the fervent wish that you will persist and try to do your best in the face of hopelessness. To have faith in the end, your spirit will prevail, to transcend your abuse and transform it into a source of courage, creativity, and compassion."
In Chinese Cinderella, one major conflict is man versus himself. In this case, Adeline, the protagonist, was her own worst enemy. When she was born, her mother died giving birth to her, so ever since she has been hated by her family. But if we think about it, her mother's death could not have been controlled. Sure, if Adeline was not born, her mother would have lived and the whole family may have not had to tolerate the cruel stepmother, Niang. Nevertheless, Adeline spent her childhood worrying that she is worthless and dragging her family's blame for her mother's death. The major conflict in this novel can be classified as man versus himself. Adeline goes through insecure emotions numerous times in this book, since most of her family constantly calls her a worthless piece of trash, ugly, and sometimes they even tell her nothing good will come out of you. It's an emotional fight against Adeline and herself, because none of these heartless comments are true. Ultimately, it will be the matter of if she believes it or not.
Since the start of Adeline's life, she has been perceived by her family as worthless and undesirable, ultimately causing Adeline to have a terrible perception of herself. But how could she have known any better? She has always been the one to take the worst of all opportunities her family had been given, and continually been degraded by none other than her own family. By the time she had reached a high brain functioning age, she had become susceptible to negativity that further influenced her to have a terrible outlook on life, which is very difficult to break free from. As a child myself, I was born and raised to always respect my family's opinions and accept every comment they had ever said to me, both beneficial and negative. Adeline deals with a similar situation, except once her parents utter their feelings towards Adeline, she never lets go of it. Therefore, the conflict dealt with here is mainly man versus himself. Adeline has had many role models and cordial people in her life. There was her Aunt Baba, grandfather Yeye, and numerous other companions such as PLT and Wu Chunmei, all of which had led Adeline towards a more positive pathway. Constantly, these characters strive to lift Adeline up, and always reiterated to her that she is absolutely an important human being. For example, her Aunt Baba used to say, "You must never forget the dream. Try to do your best at all times. You have something priceless inside of you, which must not be wasted." And this was just the beginning. Not only has Adeline been awarded week after week for leading her class and receiving the best grades all the way from kindergarten to Form 5 at the age of 14, but she also skipped 2 grades. Yet she still had doubts of ever becoming successful and garnering her parents' appreciation or approval. In the end, Adeline still went to one of the greatest universities in England. Therefore, the constant battle in this novel was Adeline against herself.